So the last two times I was talking with you guys, I gave you an overview of my career. So tonight I want to talk about where does the strength come from, and strength to do not only in my career or in my life or in service to God, but all of us. Where does our strength come from, and what do we look to? And I know we all look for strength in different areas of our lives and each and every day, and that's something that I know we do it. Sometimes I think we do it when we're not even conscious of doing it, but we're looking for strength. I think every day. But I mentioned to you guys Psalms 46 whenever I first started talking a couple of weeks ago, and so I want to go back to Psalms 46. And the reason I would go back to Psalms 46 is because I know all of you have experienced it probably as much as I have, but when you read verses in the Bible and then you go back later and you read those same verses and you're just like, wow, that didn't talk to me that way, or I don't remember that hitting me that way. And so over the years, Psalms 46 has hit me differently at different points in my life, at different points in my career. The first time that I really remember looking at Psalms 46 was back during basic training, and I think I told you guys that. And sitting in the showers in the middle of the night, we're supposed to be in bed, but sitting in the shower area, just talking and praying and being strength for each other when we're dealing with going through basic training. I was 21, and so I had already gone to. I had already tried college and realized I didn't like college. But a lot of guys that I was with were very young, and first time away from home, and first time in Texas, and in Texas in February, and they kept playing, games with us. They would turn the heat on, and then they would turn the heat off and turn the AC on, and they would turn the AC back off and turn the heat on, and just different things to just. And I understand now, I didn't understand then, but I understand now that a lot of that was to get us to pull together as a team. We were no longer individuals, but we were a team. And so, but Psalms 46 was something we talked about. And Psalms 46 verse 1, and I started to read this to you guys a couple of weeks ago from a paragraph that I had saved over the years, and I realized that I was jumping ahead. So I want to go back and read Psalms 46:1, and it says, "God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble." And so, when I was looking at Psalms 46 back then as a 21-year-old, I had been to Ohio, Florida, Tennessee, and Kentucky. Never been that far west before, and so here I am in Texas, and I'm doing this, and so that Psalms 46:1 really helped me in understanding and realizing, that God is our refuge and is our strength, and that's very reassuring. That no matter what, He is our refuge and our strength. And so even if we're feeling weak or we're feeling like we can't deal with or handle whatever's going on around us, we just be reminded that God is our strength, and that's very reassuring. And so, whenever you've got that reassurance and you've got that refuge in God, I want to ask you guys, how do we still react? How do we react to troubles and difficulties in our lives? And even though we see right here and we know that this is God's word, that He is our refuge and our strength, how do we react to troubles, things that are going on around us?
I don't know how I can do this. I don't know how I can bear up under this.
Right.
Why me?
Why me? Yeah.
But God knew all that. He knew He could give us all the words, but we would still need community to get through it.
No.
And I think that's how we handle things.
Yeah.
Not
Find
without
someone that's
fear.
gonna be close enough to you to help you.
Not without fear.
Yeah.
We'll come back to that in a second.
I think some people draw closer to him while others maybe even kind of push him away and kind of.
Yeah. So we still react kind of in a negative way. We're in a, oh, woe is me, or why am I dealing with this? And there's a lot of I's, like Deborah was saying, you know, whenever we deal with that.
We feel like we have to shoulder it all.
Yeah. So,
We talked about last night how that's that pride
yeah,
sneaking in there.
That you don't wanna ask for help.
yeah.
Good to see you tonight.
So what was really cool about reading this and talking about this, you know, in basic training was we were leaning on each other through the word. And I just remember that being very, one, we were scared because we were doing something we weren't supposed to be doing. We weren't supposed to be up and definitely weren't supposed to be talking because it was lights out. So we were doing something we weren't supposed to be doing. But we were reading God's word and leaning on each other. And so back then it was about that strength of community, that strength of we're in this together, but those of us that are in here talking about his word and know that we're going to deal with struggles and difficulties over the next few weeks, we're in this together and we've got God on our side. It took me a while to understand, many years, that not only is that reassuring, but it's also a statement of confidence. You know, I mean, we were giving each other confidence.
The door's locked.
Hey.
They wasn't locked when we came in.
No, it's not locked. We don't lock it.
But we were giving each other confidence while we were sitting there together, leaning on each other, building up that strength with each other.
Hey,
Hey,
Come
Dennis.
on, man, this is Micah.
Hey,
Micah.
Come on in, Micah.
come on
Welcome.
in.
Have a seat.
Cup of spot.
Sit on the floor. Uh-huh.
Glad to have you.
You know, Adam, it just occurred to me that when we're under stress, what occurred to me was that geese fly in a V formation, and there's a leader that cuts the wind, so it goes around the V. But that leader then will fall back to the back, and another one will come up. So when we're in crisis, you may have different leaders, different people step up, like what you were just describing.
Absolutely.
Different men.
Absolutely.
Or
And-
women.
Or women.
Could be, occasionally.
For sure.
But the confidence that comes with that.
Warm in here.
The confidence that comes with that gives each of us, or even like Luke was saying, one of us at a time, the strength to help the others and to do what maybe somebody else can't do, or be that person or a group of people that you can lean on. And if you're in his word and doing it through his word, then that confidence and that strength is pretty tremendous, and a lot of things can be done. So God gives us confidence because His presence is in the midst of all of our lives, even in our troubles. So David said something about fear. Whenever you get down to verse 2, it says, "Therefore we will not fear, even though the earth be removed, and though the mountains be carried into the midst of the sea." So that second verse says that there is no fear if you've got strength, if you've got God's strength, and if you've got refuge in God. Am I reading that right?
That's what it says.
There shouldn't be any fear.
They're not, or I'm with you.
That's the people singing the song.
Yeah. Yeah. it's not easy because there is fear. I mean, even reading these verses, so this, therefore we will not fear. In my time in the military, I deployed twice to Saudi Arabia, and then I went to Korea, and then I came back, and then I went over to Iraq. And when I went to Iraq in 2005, that was the first time I was really scared. It's the first time I'd ever been shot at, the first time that anybody had ever tried to blow me up, and my buddies too. And so there was a lot of fear, especially since I wasn't even supposed to be over there doing that job anyway, and had not, in the military's eyes and the Air Force's eyes, had not even really gotten the proper training prior to be over there to be doing that. And so I brought these binders, and I wanted to let y'all know that these are both Saudi trips and both Iraq trips that Lisa kept. She kept a record of every phone conversation, and she kept a record of all of our emails. And so today I got distracted. I came home and after picking up Reuben, and I sat down and I read through all those binders again. And it had been years since I'd read through those, but there was everything: intimacy, doing Bible studies, being angry with each other, being frustrated with each other. All of that is in those binders, and it's an amazing record of that entire time. But one thing I could not find in any of those binders was me conveying fear to her. There's no fear. If you read through all of these transaction messages between her and I, there's not one, and I read all of them tonight. There's not one time where I conveyed to her fear. And I don't think I ever conveyed to her that I was scared. Ever.
But you wouldn't have.
You
wouldn't have. Ever.
At that point in time, no. It was actually towards the end of my career before I ever conveyed to her the level of fear. But it was scary, and there was fear there, especially the first time I went out on a convoy, and there was a lot of fear. There was so much fear that it was almost 3 days before I could actually fall asleep, because there was just so much uncertainty and so much fear. But during that time, while I was over there, I don't even remember what it was, but there was a day that I remember after I'd gotten back from that first convoy where I was like, man, Psalms 46, basic training. And so I went back and read, Psalms 46. That was in 97, but then I deployed in 2005. So there was that 8-year period. And I now know that was the Lord putting it on me, because I was scared. I didn't want to get shot, and I wanted to make sure I got home. I didn't want to get blown up either. But I remember reading that second verse, and also reading Isaiah 41:10, which Luke mentioned, and it says, "Fear not, I am with you. With you I will strengthen, I will help, I will uphold you." And the reassurance, and another word that I used with you guys a couple weeks ago was peace. And so, there were some scary times during that, almost 9-month deployment. But, while I was over there, it's not that I felt like I was indestructible, but I felt confident that the Lord was going to bring me home. And I also got to the point during that deployment where I felt confident that the Lord was going to bring all of us home. In that deployment with that unit, the 2632nd, the prior deployment, when we got there, Hurlburt issued me an M16, and whenever I got there, they were like, "Yeah, you can't use that. and so they gave me an M4, which is a much smaller rifle. But when they gave me the rifle, it had sticky stuff all over it. And I was like, well, what's all this sticky stuff? And they're like, oh yeah, the guy got blown up, and that's his rifle. And it was his blood still on that rifle. And so I had to clean that rifle off before I could use it. And so, you know, that was at the very beginning of the deployment. So when I say fear, there was legit fear that at some point, but that fear went away, and you know, but anyway, when that deployment, the 2632nd did not receive a single Purple Heart, which means nobody got injured. Guys got blown up, trucks got blown up, people got shot at, mortars got fired into the base where we were staying and living all the time. A mortar came in one night, dead asleep to the world. My bunkmate, John, really good dude, the mortar hit so close to our trailer, a little metal trailer, that it popped, the overpressure popped the front door open and opened our front door, which woke him up. So he comes over to me and he's like, Sir Dunaway, the door just opened. I was like, well, the mortar just hit. Just go back to bed, close the door, go back to bed. So he closed the door, got back into bed, and I reached under my bed and got my battle armor and rolled over and went back to sleep. You know, and that was me trying to portray confidence to him. Yeah, it's dangerous, and yeah, but we're okay. It's okay. Just go back to sleep. And so, you know, and that was after Psalms 46 popped back into my brain, and I read Isaiah 41:10, and you know, fear not, because I am with you, and I will strengthen, I will help, and I will uphold you. So it just that's reading verses from the Bible that hit you different ways, different times every time you read them, and I love it. I mean, it's the living word, and I love that. Another thing that I also read too was Hebrews 13:6. All right, yeah, Hebrews 13:6. So take comfort, and this is the Amplified version, so it might read a little different than yours. So we take comfort and are encouraged and confidently say, the Lord is my helper, I will not be afraid. What will man do to me? And those verses helped me get through that 05 deployment. And again, like I told you guys, that I didn't exactly come home in the best of shape whenever I came home from that deployment. But I still made it home. I made it home to Lisa, I made it home to Ruben, I made it home to all of you guys. And that fear part too, so I want to share with you some of the things that Lisa shared with me, some of the emails. None of the intimacy emails, just some of the other ones. So on the 8th of July of 2005, Lisa wrote to me and she said, I forgot to tell you what Haley said to me yesterday, Haley Millhouse. I went to the Millhouses to drop off some dishes, and Haley stopped me in the yard, stomped her foot, crossed her arms, and said, Miss Lisa, I want Mr. Adam. And I answered back, honey, I do too.
How old was she then?
Oh,
05? She was born in 98.
15?
so,
Oh, 90.
That's what I thought.
Okay. Out of the mouth of babes.
yeah. In June of 05, she wrote to me, I think you already know this, but Chip calls me on his way home from work most days. For some reason, my cell phone was in extended network all day today, so I missed 5 of his calls. 5 calls, 4 were from him. First, he did our little hello that we do with each other, and it kind of sounds like Miss Doubtfire saying hello. Another message, he's saying, my Bologna has a first name. Then another message, he's saying, oh, I wish I were an Oscar Mayer winner. Then the last one, he's saying, you are my sunshine. I just got my messages a few minutes ago. I don't know what was wrong with my phone, but I was rolling when I heard all those messages. And then then this one was on the same day, just 8 hours later. 8 hours earlier. She said, listen, I got some exciting news. Reuben talked to me yesterday at church. He has had to stay with me the past couple of Sundays. During Sunday school, they're working on the nursery in his classroom from the Ivan damage. Anyway, he was sitting between Krista and I playing with puzzles or something. I don't even remember what he was doing. I started to do something with whatever he had. Either I was going to take it away or give him something else, whatever, I don't know. But he whined a little and said, no, Mama, is that not crazy? I just sat there thinking, did that just happen? Was that a coincidence? Several people heard it apparently. Ann Watson turned and looked at me and smiled a big old smile. Cindy Starnes came up to me after class about it. And then in August of 2005, I sent her a message. And in that message I said, keep strong in your faith that God will watch over me. I haven't made it this far. He is still with me. Give my big little man a hug and a kiss. Talk to you later. So the reason I bring those up, and those are just a few from all of those months that I was away from them. There is so much correspondence in those folders about you guys, and about the prayers, and about the love, and about the taking care of Lisa and Reuben while I'm gone, and about sending me care packages, and about continuing to take care of us and love us and be there for us even while I was away. And you talk about taking fear away. When you have so much love and so much compassion and so much contact with faithful, loving Christian brothers and sisters, it just, the fear is almost non-existent. And I felt extremely confident that I would come home and that I would be fine and that we would be together again. And then you have people like W.R. Wanamaker who knew what I was going to do. He knew where I was going, and I think I told you guys that the sand over there is like talcum powder, baby powder, and it gets into everything, everywhere. And before I left, he gave me one of these little bitty cards, and it's a card from a place here in Dover, Florida, and it's little bitty rubber O-rings. And he had heard that over in Iraq that people were struggling with their weapons malfunctioning and not being able to use them because you couldn't eject the rounds. When you pulled the trigger, it would not eject that round and cycle in another round. So this is the card, the very first card he gave me, where as soon as I got over there, I disassembled my rifle and put this little rubber O-ring on it in, just so that I would feel confident that my rifle would work if I needed to. And then when other guys were like, man, what is that? What are you doing? What are you putting in there? And I started telling him about it. Well, I let WR know, and then he sent me more. And I think he sent me a dozen cards, and these are the last two I have left. But this was the card that he sent me, that he gave me before I left, where I actually used one. And yeah, that's when you have that level of love and support from your brothers and sisters. Man, you know, the fear doesn't disappear, but it's tremendously reduced, and you just feel covered in God. You feel His presence. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Am I bringing you down?
No.
That's our job though, Adam.
I know.
That's what we're here for. You're there we're here, so we have to support you.
Well, it was always felt. I mean, just, I'm not kidding. I don't think I could go more than one or two email messages that she had printed out without reading about somebody from church doing something, or taking Reuben. There was one, Carol took Reuben to Destin so she could go get her haircut and have a day. Later on, whenever I was in Afghanistan, Brad took Reuben to the Gulfarium, just so many that I've forgotten about, but just so much love and compassion that you can just take a deep breath and you can know that God's working, and trust in Him and feel His presence. So if you go down in Psalms 46 to verse 7, it said, "The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge." Man, just being able to feel His presence. To be honest, I was not always in the Word when I was deployed, but the Word spoke through the love. His presence was definitely felt through all the things that were going on back here, through the chaplains that prayed with us before we left, the chaplains that came and prayed with us when we came back, the chaplains that came and checked up on us to make sure we were doing okay, and just God's presence, and I mean, I was in Iraq, and it wasn't eye-opening. When I was in Iraq the first time, I knew that I was driving places and going places where men and women in the Bible had walked. But then when I went back again and I was over there, I was down south in Talil, and there was a ziggurat outside of the base in a place called And so I got to go visit that, and I got to go walk around and see that, and then just to know the significance of and then to be there and see the pottery, and to see the ziggurat, and to see the excavations, and I'll be honest, I have some of that pottery in my house because I was just I was in awe. I've never been to Israel or a place like that, but being in and just going, man, this is amazing. You can feel, I mean, even though there was a war going on and things like that, you could feel God's presence. And later on, I had to actually go to Mosul, and that's in the Nineveh region. Mm-hmm. And just to go up there and be up there and just stand outside and know that where I'm at is the Nineveh region, and just to feel that you feel God's presence, and get I was comforted in feeling His presence, and while I was there on that second deployment to Iraq, it made me think of Hebrews 13:5, and let your character be free from the love of money, being content with what you have, for He has said, I will never desert you, nor will I forsake or let you down or relax my hold on you. I mean, He's never going to leave us, and I mean, I'm in a war zone where things are happening. Every day I had to drive between two bases. I had to drive between the Air Force base and the Army base. There's a little bitty road that separated those two bases, and you would pull up and have concrete barriers, and you'd pull up and you'd look out, see if there's anybody coming, just like you would, or a regular intersection, and then you would gas it and get across that intersection as fast as you could, because they would fire RPGs at the cars down this road as you would pass between base to base. And so I remember our LT, he flew up there to Mosul, and we put him in the Humvee, and so we were like, hey, we gotta drive over to the other side of base. He's like, all right, let's go. So we took off, and whenever I stopped, and then I nailed it, flung him back, and he was like, do not drive like that, right as an RPG flew over the top of our Humvee, and he's slapping me going, go, 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 go. and we, you know, the other two of us that were in the truck, in the Humvee, we were laughing about it. The LT had never experienced that before. You know, but I mean, you know that he never leaves us. And I can't put in words that comfort and confidence that I felt when I was deployed. You know, Matthew 1:23, God is with us, and I just always felt him. He was always there, and even when one of my buddies got blown up, I never doubted that God was there and God took care of them. When his truck got blown up in 2005, it should have killed all three of them in the truck, but it didn't. It malfunctioned, and it didn't kill them. It destroyed the truck, but it didn't kill them. And these were three of my buddies that, well, two of them were my buddies that had come from Hurlburt with me, and I had that confidence. Now I was a little nervous whenever we did not have any further radio contact with him. This is the same guy that cracked my rib whenever he hugged me after I cornered him, and was so happy to see him. But yeah, I never doubted. I never doubted. And even in Afghanistan, whenever I was over there, you know, and I'm not saying that you know, you kind of get used to it. And I don't know.
You have to be able to put some of it behind you,
Yeah.
rather than the forefront of to function.
Yeah.
I don't think you lose it if you think about it. You just try to think about it.
But it never scared me. After that first, you know, convoy, you know, there would be times that you're like, okay, well, this has happened in front of us, or yep, that just got, you know, wicked hairy, or, you know, but there was, I honestly can say that I never, after that first convoy, I never felt like I'll never make it home. I never felt that at all. And I know a ton of that was because of the support and the prayers that were happening back here. So I also told you guys about that second deployment to Iraq, where I kind of had a discussion with God and was angry and frustrated, and I had told Lisa in many emails that I would come home and I would be a better person, and I wouldn't, you know, I would be a better husband, and that second deployment to Afghanistan, another part of Psalms 46. I think I told you guys that I walked laps every night. When I had come home for her stepdad's funeral and then had to go back, and then when I got back over there, my grandfather passed away, and they wouldn't let me come back home for that. And so, and you know, there was a lot of inner turmoil that I was dealing with, you know, other things. But I don't share much about what I talked about, or what I argued about with God. But I do remember singing the song almost almost every time I went outside and started walking and asking questions, inevitably during that discussion, I would start singing "Be Still and Know." And then whenever you go back and you read Psalms 46, verse 10, thanks, honey. I have the other one stuck in there. Psalms 46:10, "Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth." And so that whole time, whenever I was spending those days trying to figure myself out, trying to figure out how I could be a better husband, a better dad, a better Christian, a better member of our church, just better all around, man, you know, that song, "Be Still and Know." And so a lot of that time I would just walk around and just sing to myself, "Be still and know that I am God." And man, if that's not God talking to you and helping you understand, hey, I'm listening to you, I'm hearing you, and you're dealing with a lot of stuff, but just be still and know. And I would wear myself out, and I would go back to my room, and I would go to sleep and get up and start the next day. And then after work was over with the next day, be like, man, God, we got to talk about this, and I got to figure out how, and I got to figure out why, and I got to figure out what. And then I would start singing "Be Still and Know" as I'm walking, and then I would get worn out, and then I'd go back to sleep. So that whole time was huge for me, and that's whenever I was able to really consider His peace and trust in Him. I'm human. I still make mistakes, and I still don't do things right. And Lisa knows whenever I start clearing my throat, and I'm starting to get annoyed or frustrated. But you know, I'm not the same now that I was, you know, before that time, and before I was able to just be still and just know that He is God, and be able to just find that peace in Him and trust in Him. So Psalms 46 is pretty special to me. And I just wanted to share that with you guys tonight, that how special it is. And I also saw too, while I was over there, I don't know if you guys have ever heard the term foxhole faith.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and so I experienced that quite a bit over there. There was in one of those emails, I had forgotten about it. There was a young man that I met and was able to spend time with, and it was exciting too, because whenever I realized he was over there and was getting ready to go catch up with him, the message he sent me was, "Hey, bring your Bible whenever you come talk to me." And I was like, all right, cool, this is awesome. And I even shared that with Lisa, and I was like, man, this is pretty awesome. This is what I need. This is the kick in the pants to get in the Word, and I got a battle buddy with me, and you know, I had that kick in the pants back here as well. I was looking for it and I can't find it, but some of y'all remember Greg, our first youth minister, and when we moved here, he and I and Lisa, and we got close with Dub and Carol, and Dub and Greg and I were accountability partners with each other, and Greg made up these cards that we carried with us, and then we met once a week, Wednesday mornings, Yeah, we go find someplace in Fort Walton, we meet on Wednesday mornings, and we had a couple of questions on there, and the last question was, have you lied to me? And they were very pointed questions. And I had accountability partners here, but being able to find one over there and that was amazing. But then, as I was reading those emails, I had vented some frustration to Lisa that after a couple of weeks, it kind of just died off and wasn't there anymore. I don't remember where I was going with that.
Foxhole.
Foxhole, yeah.
Foxhole faith. Thank you, brother. So I've heard about it. I've seen it. I've seen it in Afghanistan. I've seen it in Iraq, and I've seen it here in some cases. And I'm very grateful that my faith is not a foxhole faith, and that and so I wish I could be stronger to tell people, man, I think that this is a foxhole faith issue, maybe we need to talk about it a little bit more. But I don't think I ever felt confident enough to broach that. But yeah, that's Psalms 46, and that's the importance of Psalms 46 to me. Somebody have any questions or?
My Bible has a picture
Oh
of
yeah.
the ziggurat in our,
Oh yeah.
and shows you on the map where Ur of the Chaldees is
Yeah.
thought to be, yeah.
It was amazing. Everybody that we all drove out there, and everybody was like, "Why are you so excited?" I was like, "Let me."
You guys never heard of Ur of the
Let me
Chaldees?
explain it to you, and so that was pretty cool to be able to explain to them.
For those of
why-
you that don't
why-
remember, that's where Abraham left, started from Ur of the Chaldees and went to toward Canaan.
Yeah.
So that's why you've heard that. Ur of the Chaldees, that's
Yeah.
So that was very interesting. And then to stand, I've always thought, and I could be wrong, that the Nineveh region up in northern Iraq, there's not any water around, or not much, and just to think about that, and to know that's that's where Jonah was sent.
See any whales up there?
Did not.
He wasn't in Nineveh when he jumped off the ship.
And that was what was always
It's a whale came to Nineveh.
No, not to Nineveh. Nineveh is landlocked.
That was always what was interesting to me, because I know the geography's changed some since back then, but
Yeah.
just being able to see how far away the nearest body of water is, just imagine having to think about that the whole time that you're walking to where you're needing to go.
Rob shared an interesting story with us last night. Is in wartime you take wolves and you send them to war to be wolves. They come back and they're still a wolf.
Mm.
You take sheep and you make them into a wolf, but when they come back, they need to be sheepdogs. So that's what you should become. You're not a sheep any longer, but you're not a wolf either. Now you just guide the sheep.
I like that.
Which is where you have been called.
Wish I had a joke for you guys. I'm not good with jokes. Brandon, you got a joke? No.
Can't think of one right now. That's for the youth. They got 'em.
Gotcha. Yeah, so thank y'all for letting me share with you. That's
Thank you, Adam.
oh, you're welcome.
Servant.
There are some powerful phrases in Jonah's prayer to God.
Mm.
And if you haven't read that later, you need to go back and read it. All of us do. Because we've all said, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Let somebody else do that. I don't want to do that. And, why are you letting them get away with that, God? So, we've all said that at different times in our life. And so, it's pretty easy, actually, and to be aggravated with God, like, you've forgiven them? They are so wicked. How could you do that?
Saying that a lot right now.
thinking about that a lot right now, yeah.
Did you have anything, babe?
Thank you. I just can't thank you.
Can I see the pictures?
Yeah, there's a reason we were sent here, and there's a reason we stayed here for 22 of my 23 years.
These are pictures of a going away party that was had, and where were you going? It was your first deployment, I
Korea.
think,
Just one
Korea, 2000.
Goodness.
And I was asking Lisa on the way over here, so this is 2 Saudis and 2 Iraq trips, but there's also 4 Afghanistan trips.
Goodness.
That I think life got busy,
You've grown a little bit.
and she didn't keep any record of any of those. Either that, or she just got comfortable with me going.
Oh, goodness.
Is that Adam?
You should see these. Brandon's about 2 feet tall.
Everybody else's age was 1 foot.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I remember those.
Oh, my goodness. Really?
I was there, I don't
I
believe.
remember you throwing babies up in the air.
Oh, yeah.
Brandon and Logan.
They haven't changed it yet, have
That was cute.
Remember being that young? Oh, yeah.
Catherine used to get mad whenever I would have to go
Well, yeah.
cross her arms.
It's Brandon.
Oh, my
Missed
gosh.
you.
Brandon and Logan.
You played with her all the time.
And Haley. bless her
Yeah.
heart.
Yeah.
You didn't throw Haley as much as you threw some
No.
of the
I
other
didn't.
ones.
Haley
was usually back from surgery.
She's a little
so-
fragile.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she was.
Brandon.
It's Brandon and his brother.
But all the rest of them, I threw around a lot.
Yes. And those of us who had kids that were too old said, "You're gonna be sorry. Your time is coming."
Oh my goodness.
I forgot about my dad's goatee days.
Oh, my goodness, yeah. I forgot about that, too. His dad's goatee.
Thanks for putting that out there, brother.
Oh, yeah.
It's the Waldens. Deborah, do you remember the Waldens?
Oh, yeah.
Look at that sweet.
Is this Brandon in front? The little blonde?
Yes, yeah.